Hello and welcome back to another in-depth weather video. Today we are talking about Winter Storm Carrie. Now, this storm does not have a full article, but it does have a title. Snow and ice for New England forecast this weekend. So, let's dig a little bit deeper into that. So, starting off here with the National Weather Service page, we have winter storm warnings up for the eastern half of Vermont, all of New Hampshire, and the western portion of Maine. We also have winter weather advisories up for areas of northern Pennsylvania, upstate New York, northwest Connecticut, north and west Massachusetts, as well as parts of the western parts of Vermont and parts of Maine. So, moving on, we are going to start off with our simulated radar. So we're going to look at two things. One, we have cold air already in place in parts of the Northeast after Winter Storm Bankston. So this storm will take advantage of that. We get some snow in the back end of the storm in parts of Michigan, Illinois, Wisconsin, but most of the heavier snow will be in the Northeast, in upstate New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, even maybe parts of Connecticut, but very unlikely. New Hampshire and Maine it moves into, but more importantly, and we're going to zoom in on this in a second, is those other wintry precipitation forms, the other forms of that wintry precipitation, which could be even more damaging. Another thing to look at is there's a slight severe threat with this storm on the southern edge, another cold front moving through, and rain for many areas that were just impacted by severe weather and tornadoes in Tennessee and Kentucky. Not the best for that situation, but it does look like a decent amount of rain there throughout the day, Saturday and Sunday. Now, in terms of the big cities in the Northeast, let's actually zoom in on the Northeast here. And this is going to give us a pretty good idea of where this rain, snow, sleet, freezing rain line is. So, rain moves in. You can see it's already much further north than we were talking about yesterday. And this rain, snow line is right around Buffalo, through Albany, south of Boston. And this rain-snow line will continue to move to the north, and eventually Boston ends up in all rain, and that rain-snow line is north of Portsmouth, New Hampshire, along the northern state line of Massachusetts through Albany, and this storm eventually moves out. So, we have two primary threats in terms of wintry precipitation, that is snow and ice. So, let's take a look at snow. Snow will be most prominent in areas of Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, and the very northern parts of New York, so the Adirondacks region of New York. So, other than that, let's just start from the south and move to the north. So, Boston, an inch at most. I think you guys are going to be a little bit too warm even to see much accumulation. Even if there is accumulation, it'll just be on the grass. The roads will definitely be too warm. This will be the wet, heavy snow, and that won't accumulate on the roads at all. In terms of Buffalo, could see 2 to 3 inches of snow in that region. Not much there, not serious snowfall, since the storm is going to be transferring through the region, gaining strength as it moves to the east. In terms of Albany, 2 to 3 inches as well. And then we move north. So, we have the Adirondacks region getting at least 6 inches. Some spots in the upper elevations could see over a foot. Same thing in Vermont. Areas such as Montpelier and Burlington could see about a half a foot. Then we have New Hampshire, where Portsmouth will only be seeing 1 to 2 inches of snow since they will be transferring over that rain-snow boundary, but areas such as Manchester and Concord could see 4 to 8 inches of snowfall, depending on elevation, and even the higher elevations of New Hampshire could see over a foot, maybe even 2 feet of snow. Of course, those are the higher elevations. That makes sense. In terms of Maine, the prime area for snowfall in Maine is going to be further west. So areas of northwest Maine could see over a half a foot, as well as southwest Maine. But areas that we typically see getting a lot of snowfall, which is up by Caribou, is going to be in that 1 to 4 inch range. Definitely less than a half a foot in much of that area. As well as down east Maine, we'll be seeing, let's just call it 3 to 6 inches of snowfall. Since they will be closer to that low pressure, they could see some more snowfall out of this system, but they will be after the most intense part of the storm, which is in the northern tier of New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, western Maine. So let's move on to our other primary threat, which is ice. I think that this map is a little misleading. So I'm going to explain that in a second, but let's just go over what it says. Basically, we're not going to read into these splotchy areas. If you're in the lower elevations of these areas, such as the Hudson River Valley, the Connecticut River Valley, as well as the shorelines, you're not going to see as much ice. If you live in the higher elevations, you are more likely to see ice, since you will be cooler as the storm begins, but just at that surface level. Therefore, you could see some freezing rain, especially once you transfer over. Many of these areas seeing ice start off as snow. Just a clarifier there. But I think that this map is a little bit misleading, and this is why. We go back to the Weather Channel. They have these areas, possible and likely areas for ice. So I think that anywhere, let's just say anywhere south of Concord, like right in here, I wish I could draw a line here, but anywhere south of this very northern boundary of the freezing rain, and north of New York City, actually let's include New York City just for this instance, could see icing, or at least some freezing rain at some points. And we'll also include the upper elevations, parts of Pennsylvania, as well as New Jersey, the higher elevations of those states. Now, I think that all those areas could see some possible freezing rain. The areas that are likely to see freezing rain are on the map right now. So that's just a clarifier for that as well. But overall, Winter Storm Carrie is I'm not going to call it a less significant storm, but it will be impacting it'll be impacting less of a total land area than Bankston and Atticus, but it could pose some major travel problems, especially in these areas that do get freezing rain. Remember, most of these areas are getting over 1/10 of an inch of freezing rain. So 1/10 of an inch is usually when you start to see that glaze on the roads and you start to lose any sort of traction. And in some of these areas where they're getting 1/2 an inch, 3/4 of an inch, that is when you start to see power lines coming down consistently, trees coming down, and it is just wreaking havoc. So if you are in any of these areas, let's call it north of New York City, south of Concord, New Hampshire, and those, let's just call it a line from these 2 points, and basically just the general area that this red is being shown in, prepare with some ice melt, prepare for losing power, and prepare to have possibly a couple days without power. Depending on how widespread power outages are, that could increase the amount of time that you are without power. And it is also good to know that after this storm, there will be a period of colder temperatures, not freezing below freezing temperatures in terms of actual temperature, but not like frigid, not like single digits or teens, but in the upper 20s to the 30s, and in higher elevations less than that. So just be aware that this ice will accumulate, and afterwards it may stick around for a little bit. But that is all I have for this storm. If you enjoyed this video, consider leaving a like, subscribing, and hitting the bell. But that is all I have for today. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time.